These will be the even problems from 2-11 and 2-12. So if you remember, we will be solving literal equations, which means these are equations that have more than one variable. So you will have to figure out how to get the variable that they tell you to by itself. So starting with number 2, we need to get h by itself. So ask yourself what's happening to h. It is being multiplied by b. So to undo multiplying by b, we need to divide by b. That gets that to cancel out. H equals a over b. And that's it. Now you can still check these just like you did with your numbers. You would plug it back in. So a equals b times h, which we are saying is a over b. So yes, those two cancel out and we get a equals a. So you can still check these. You just have to do algebra instead of just plugging numbers in. Number 4. We want to solve for t. So when you look at t, you see that the p and the r are right next to it. So that means everything is being multiplied. So even though you have more than one thing being multiplied, you can still divide by all of it at once. So we are going to divide by PR to get rid of both of them at the same time. So your answer is T equals I over PR. Number 6, solving for R. There's two things happening to R. It's being squared and it's being multiplied by pi. So if you were to plug a number in, you would square it first and then multiply. So we need to do the backwards, the inverse of that. We need to actually get rid of the pi first. So we need to divide both sides by pi as our first step. So then I'm going to write r squared equals a over pi. The way we undo squared is the square root. So to get rid of squared, we do the square root. So r equals, so this square root cancels out the squared. Just make sure your square root sign is big enough that the entire a over pi fits into it. And that would be your final answer for number 6. For number 8, m is being divided by v. So to undo divide, we multiply by v, multiply by v. M equals dv. That's it. When we have multiple steps, again, you need to reverse the order of operations. So that's what we just did with the pi r squared one. The second bullet is the super important one. To get rid of a fraction that's being multiplied, you need to multiply by the reciprocal. So we see that right away in number 10. We have 1/3 times b times h. So technically, you should divide by both 1/3 and h. But we don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we are going to take 2 steps to do this one. So we multiply by 3 over 1, which is just 3. So those cancel out. So 3v is equal to bh. Then we need to divide both sides by h to get b equals 3v over h. $12 is a special one because it has that big fraction. So we actually need to get rid of the d first. So we need to multiply by d to make it go away, multiply by d. So AD equals B plus C. Notice I didn't write the multiplication sign in there. We don't need to write the multiplication sign in. We need b by itself, so we need to subtract c and subtract c. So b equals, you write down exactly what it says, AD minus c. If it helps to say it out loud or say it in your head as you're writing it, you're just going to work your way straight down. It says AD minus c. So that's what you write. For 14, we need to get this y by itself. So first we need to get rid of the entire a times x. So anytime you need to get rid of an entire term, move it to the other side, you have to add or subtract. So we would subtract ax from both sides. So by is equal to c minus ax. We want the y by itself, so we're going to divide by b, divide everything by b. So your final answer is y equals c minus ax all over b. And finally 16, we still have 18, getting that t by itself. So first we need to get rid of this p over here. Anything that's being added or subtracted, we get rid of first, unless it's like number 12, where we have everything being divided by something. Okay, so we need to subtract p to get rid of that one. A minus p equals PRT. We just saw earlier that PRT, to get t by itself, we divide by both p and r to get them to cancel out. Divide by PR. T equals, a lot of people think that these two can cancel out, but they can't because of this subtraction. If you have addition or subtraction in your fraction, things don't get canceled out like that. So you just need to write it all out. A minus p over PR. And finally, 18. Normally when we see a set of parentheses, we distribute, but in these problems, we don't distribute. First, we need to get rid of the stuff on the outside of the parentheses. So we're going to get rid of 1/2 first. Some of you might feel comfortable doing this all in one step. I'll show you another trick you can do for this so that you can do it all in one step. Okay, so we're going to multiply by 2 to get rid of this 1/2. So 2a equals h times b1 plus b2. So normally we would distribute h, but we're not going to. This means multiplying. So to undo multiplication, we need to divide by h and divide by h. So 2a over h is equal to b1 plus b2. We want b1 by itself, so that means I need to subtract b2 from both sides. And you do need to be really careful about how you rewrite this. b1 equals 2a over h. Notice the minus sign needs to go right in between those two, b2. Don't put the minus down with the h. It's a separate thing all on its own. Now here's what I want to show you. You can actually rewrite this, and specifically this front part, 1/2 times h as h over 2. So you could think of that as a equals h over 2 times b1 plus b2. Okay, so you have 1/2 times h. Well, that's like 1/2 times h over 1. So you can just make that h over 2. So then, to get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, so 2 over h. So you could right away do 2ah over h equals b1 plus b2, and then keep going. So you can combine things as fractions to get rid of them by multiplying by the reciprocal, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so then we subtracted b2 and got b1 equals 2a over h minus b.